Now, if you want to know where people leave your e-commerce website, you need to use the user journey report in Google Analytics 4. This is by far the best report to detect if you have any bottlenecks where proportionally more people just abandon your site. Hello data people, my name is Robert and I'm here to help you understand and analyze data to make better decisions in e-commerce. So let me first show you how to use this report and then I'll just give you some tips how I use it to get insight. So let's just dive in. So this is the user journey report, or it's also called purchase journey, and usually it's inside the monetization. So if you click on it, you see this kind of a funnel. We start with the session start. This is people coming to your website. Then they view the product, added something to cart, began the checkout and purchased. Between these two steps, you even have this checkout journey, which actually looks at these two or what happens between these two in more detail. But this specific one is a bit more high level. And what does it tell you? Well, it mostly tells you how many people started the journey. And out of those that started, 28% view the product. Out of the 28%, 24% added something to cart. And out of those people, about half of the people began the checkout. And then out of these people, about half also purchased something. So you can see that we started with this huge amount of people. This is 51,000 users, and we ended up with only 877. And here at the bottom, we also have the abandonment rate, which is basically the inverted number of this. So you can see this plus this is 100%. You can see the same information in two different ways. The people that completed the step or the ones that abandoned it. By the way, data is not created equal and you should be only looking at data that is relevant to your role. That's why I've created a cheat sheet which shows you the most important metrics and KPIs specific to different e-commerce roles. You can download it by clicking on the first link in the video description. Now, where this gets really interesting is when you can start comparing this with some other data. So, for example, right now we just see this one. It doesn't really tell you how well you're doing. In general, this shop is not doing that well because, I mean, you have add to cart and only 50% of the people start their journey. I would say that's quite low. But in any case, it really depends on your industry. And if you scroll down here, you have more information here. So you have now the breakdown of the same info here, but per device category. So you have desktop, mobile, tablet. And you could now compare these two to each other. Usually I don't look at by device category. You look at it like once and you're pretty much done with it. But where it gets more interesting if you look at by country, or you can look at actually, let's look at the country. By country, if you have multiple countries, it gets interesting here. And where I also use this is I compare it between two timelines or something. So you could look at from here, you have the timeline, and let's say last 28 days, and I come here, compare, and I can just choose to preceding period. So then it will take the 28 days from my time period, and then you can compare that. So this is a bit more useful maybe for most of you. And then the third way to compare is to actually use the comparison here. You can add a comparison, and then you can really dive into what you actually need. So if you want to compare, for example, direct traffic, let's do that. That's actually quite interesting. Organic traffic versus paid traffic. And if I apply, then we would see the numbers for both of those. Let me just remove the dates here because that gets a little too much. But if we just compare the organic traffic and paid traffic, now you can see that in terms of performance, it's hard to judge because there's just so little of the paid traffic. There's no purchases from paid traffic. So I guess for this shop, it doesn't make sense to run any paid ads because they're not really converting right now. If you scroll down, we can also compare per country, per traffic source. This gets a little bit more complicated because then you have a bit more information here. This shop is mostly in US, so we could just look at that and we would be already quite okay. One more thing I would mention here at the top, you can choose between closed and open funnel. It just means with the closed funnel, the user that purchased, they had to have all of these other events. If they didn't have any of these, then they're excluded. You might have users that, for example, got an email and then instead of just going and viewing product, they added something to the basket already directly from the email. So like an abandoned cart email or something like that. Then you would see traffic here if this was open. And we can actually enable the open funnel here, and we'll see that there should be a little bit more purchases maybe here. 125, and in this case, yes, 138, you can see. Oh no, so 124. Usually the open funnel will have more data in it just because there's more ways to get into the funnel. Because the person can join at any point. They could just directly come to the begin checkout and from there buy, and still they would be part of this this journey. Now they recently added this feature and it's pretty cool. You can export this to the explorations tab, and this is more powerful because, for example, if you don't want to look at per country, you can select campaign. But hey, I don't have that option here. So what you could do is if you click on this, it will export it to the explorations and it'll become a funnel exploration report. And if you don't know how to use this, I have a separate tutorial how to create this funnel explorations. You can just click on the banner here on the top right corner and you'll be able to learn how to use this. But basically from here, you could now adjust what you see here. So instead of country, you could come here and just look for campaign, for example, like this. And that way it gets more interesting for you. You can just dice this data to the way you want to see it. And this is probably the most useful part of the whole report, is to compare this number or completion rate to some similar numbers. For example, two campaigns could go head to head and you can see where people drop off. That way you will be able to learn. So for example, if we look at this report specifically, it's easy to see here that if we look at the begin checkouts and purchases, here we have about, what is this, like 1/3 of people, 2/3 of people actually go through it. So that's what, like 60% of people. Whereas with Canada, you can see that we only get like 30% of people go through. So there's a big drop off here. So I would now I could go on the website and just explore this, why Canada has just so much lower conversion rate. In this case, I actually did that. Canada just has extremely high shipping fees. So that's why you see a bigger drop off in there than in United States. So this is just a quick way I like to use it, because I usually find the issue in this report and then I go and dig deeper what's going on with that issue. Where, you know, why are people coming to our site but they're not adding something to the cart? So you can start and dig deeper into them. And when it comes to getting insights from data, just like this user journey report, I cover this in depth in my GA4 for e-commerce course. I really just focus on the analysis and getting insights from the data, leaving out of all the techie stuff. For more information, just check out the link in the description. Okay, now you know about the user journey report, but GA4 default reports are full of metrics and dimensions that you don't really need, and using them will just waste your time. That's why you should watch this video next, where I'll show you the most useful reports in GA4.